Welcome to week 3. We've got another enjoyable week of learning where you get to prepare a draft protocol you're going to use for your own qualitative research. So this is where the fun really begins. We get to put some of what we learned into practice. To prepare us for that, we're going to read from our primary text, chapters 5 and 11. Chapter 5 offers some exploratory, methods, maybe some ideas like briefing interviews, participant diaries, maps, narrative tours, some other things that our author helps us. Just gives a brief description of that. It also offers what the author calls confessional tales of how authors negotiate access. You'll learn when you're doing qualitative research out in the field that sometimes that access is a little harder than you might think, and you'll spend a lot of time just trying to get into an institution or getting people to participate. And this author's got a lot of practice, of course, and so the author offers a lot of confessional tales that illustrate the twists and turns of how to get in, and more importantly, how access is often a continual process, right? It's something that is very time consuming, but if you just approach it as something you're always going to be looking for, you're always looking for that next opportunity to interview or explore or just research inside of an organization for future efforts that you have. And of course, the author acknowledges that the approach is different. It depends upon the context, the participants, the season, the mood of the person on a given day. But she offers a lot of tips that I think will be helpful. And then as you continue with your own qualitative research, you'll find tips of your own. I encourage qualitative researchers like yourself to always try to learn. That's one of the things I love about qualitative research is that the learning never stops. You can do that by visiting unfamiliar places, maybe explore experiences where you're the subordinate or you're the person that's unskilled. Maybe you're not the expert. And of course, as a critical thinker, I encourage everyone to seek out opinions that are contrary or at least divergent from your own. Okay, last thing in chapter 5, I encourage you to look at the self-audit. That's exercise 5.1. I think it might reveal some interesting aspects of who you are in terms of a researcher, and so you can use that to maybe improve upon some areas or grow even further in the areas where you have some strengths. So, chapter 11. Here the author talks about how to identify and create quality in qualitative research. That's key, right? And the idea is that there's just so much information clamoring for people's attention. One of the key challenges of practice research is to write in such a way that others will pay attention, and hopefully maybe even spur them into action. If you've got a cause that you're supporting and you've got research to support that cause, how do you communicate that in a way that someone will pay attention and do what you're asking them to do or learn what you're asking them to learn? Okay, 2 exercises in chapter 11, exercise 11.1, gauging worth and rigor, and then exercise 11.2, articulating and gauging significance. Try to do one or both of those if you get the time. I think it'll be well worth your effort. All right, one of our additional readings this week is from Besley et al., talking about the focus on science communication training. And the authors note that this is important because helping scientists communicate is a central way that other people gain insights. And this is more and more important, right? I think we've learned that all in the past year plus. Science matters. Science impacts what we do. It impacts how we live. And it impacts how we can solve problems. Now, I speak as a former engineer. My career in the Navy was as an engineer. And I will tell you, engineers sometimes have a difficult time expressing to others in the field, but especially those who are not engineers, right? We think we understand engineering. Engineering is easy to us. Math and science, they just kind of make sense. The nice thing about engineering is that there is a right answer and there's a wrong answer, right? Gravity works a certain way. There's a formula that we use for that. All the physics principles, all those ideas behind engineering and math and science, they're beautiful in that way, and that there is a real answer that one can derive. Doesn't mean the answer can't change, right? If we learn new things, it's part of the scientific method. Certainly, as we learn more, we can do more and perhaps revise what we thought we knew before. But when it comes to the exact application of science, of mathematics, of engineering, those things, A plus B equals C. The same is true for the military. I've spent my entire adult life in the military. I raised my right hand for the first time when I was 18, and then, retired from the Navy, worked as a Navy contractor. Now I work as a government civilian. I've been around the military my entire adult life, and we have our own way of communicating. And so I'm constantly reminding people, even military communicators, of which I am one, we need to communicate in a way that can be understood by people who maybe are in a different branch of service, maybe even a different part of the same branch, and certainly to those who do not have military experience. So I share this with you because whatever organization or whatever field you belong to, you have your own lexicon. You have your own shortcuts, and those are fine. They make communication efficient, but sometimes they also make communication ineffective if those shortcuts, those abbreviations, that jargon is not understood. So it's something to keep in mind. Second reading is from Gazwana. The article examines the ethical dilemmas that are specific to qualitative research. Some of these dilemmas concern the issues of withdrawal from a study. Obviously, it must be voluntary. Anonymity, which is important, and confidentiality. We talked earlier about trying to get people recruited into your research. Well, one of the ways you can do that is through anonymity and confidentiality. It also helps with the information they provide. It can help put people at ease. A second area addressed in the article is how to get participants through what's known as snowball sampling. Now, I've used snowball sampling in my own research. In fact, for my dissertation years and years and years ago, that was one of the primary methods I used. Essentially, what happens is that you ask your participant to find other participants for you, right? And I find this very helpful because you're only one person. Maybe you know a few people who could help recruit the first few participants, but those participants know others like them or others who may have different characteristics that you're looking for your research. And I use this still today. I was in Newport, Rhode Island last week interviewing officers at Surface Warfare School, and then we moved to New London, Connecticut, where I interviewed sailors aboard nuclear-powered submarines. And we had an initial sign-up list, and then every time we interviewed someone, we asked them to bring two more people. Go back and bring two more people. Now that you've seen how easy the questions are, now that you have an understanding of what we're asking and the importance of this interview, please go get some other folks. And by and large, they will. They'll go back and say, hey, go down there and it only takes a few minutes, answer the questions. And they're going to trust that person more than they would trust me trying to go around and ask them to participate. So it does work, and I commend that to you if it's something you find helpful in your own research. Okay, as always, stay ahead with all assignments, stay engaged in that discussion board, and always enjoy your time of learning.